Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Lessons of Life, where we look at life and the lessons it teaches us through the eyes of principle, the laws of being. And they are dynamic laws, and they are law nonetheless. They're principle, like gravity. So the question was asked by a patron if we could touch on politics, tariffs, bills, bonds. Oh, my. Just like the Wizard of Oz, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. It's just being called something else. That's all. It's what Shakespeare would say, a bunch of sound and fury, signifying nothing. The child has grown up. When you want to look at politics, you have to step back and you have to look at the whole world because it is a symbiotic relationship. And that's how men have to see it, It's one helping another. If you don't see it that way, then it's one tearing apart another. Both sides are saying the same thing differently. That's all it is. And they take turns beating each other up because there's not enough love. Okay. And that's what they think. And this is all love. This is nothing but love. Okay. God loves you. And He loves all our leaders. They play a very hard role. And the fact of the matter is, I'd made some videos earlier about my opinion. My opinion was wrong about kings and rulers and that kind of thing. And democracy is what Jesus was talking about in the Beatitudes, that the meek inherit the earth. And when you take something for granted, like we have our democracy and been lazy about it. For example, we used to have caucuses where after primaries, you took your little sticker that said you voted in the primary and went back and you helped shape and form the platform for the party you voted for. Okay. And it's also how the electorates got split up. For example, I had voted and campaigned for Paul Tsongas, and others had, for Bill Clinton. And 3 of us showed up to the caucus. It was one of the last caucuses in Texas. And then 2 were for Clinton, and me, I'm for Tsongas. So when they went to the state from that particular district, 14 were going to represent, 14 electorates from our district would represent Clinton, and 7 Tsongas. Because that's how it got split up, because that's how many showed up. And they just figured they're being efficient. Nobody's showing up anyway. No, that gives them way too much power. Now they're setting what the platform is going to be, because at that time, that's when you let them know, we need something about this, we need something about that. Those things go forward, they bubble up. And then the idea is, majority of the districts state we need this. This is our platform. It's by the people. And the people got lazy and they took it for granted. So then they figured out if we don't teach them about it, then they won't know. And they'll just think it is whatever it is. And we can just keep getting ourselves voted back in. And, it's a job for life. It's Kush. Okay. And they got lazy. They took it for granted. They let companies and lobbyists and other people write their bills, while they went chasing the dollar. This perpetuates itself as the love of money instead of understanding you admire, appreciate, respect money. Okay, but it doesn't rule your life. All right, God rules your life. So that's the deal. You give everything up. No false gods. Okay, and that's the only one. So it starts manifesting itself. Okay, and this wave of democracy of the people remembering who they are, they're the meek who inherit the earth. We have the right to say, it's our government of the people, by the people. We can run these clowns out of here, you know. And God bless them because we let them be that way. We let them be that way. Okay. You shouldn't get upset at them. You should not blame them. You should bless them, because they're doing their damnedest, and it's always with good intention. They all go in there with good intention. Change the world. I'm going to change how this is. That does happen. But then they overstay their welcome. They won't take a bow. You want to praise them for what they did and honor them, but they just won't hush. They act like those days are still here and they can't help it. And so like attracts like, and they tend to gather into parties here in America. And right now, they're currently gathering in the Democratic Party. And you can see that there are not many. Just step back and look at it. Where are the many? They're over here. And look at it like sheep. During the day, you follow, okay? You follow the Christ. So step back and look at it. Where is everyone headed towards? Well, they want you to think it's this, what they're fear-mongering, screaming, okay? And this blanket of negativity, for lack of a better term. They won't report on the good stuff that's happening because they don't want that to multiply. And if they can keep you afraid, then they keep you under their thumb. Okay, but then the tables get flipped. Phew. Now they're afraid. So they're screaming about things that they did and saying they're doing that, or they're going to do that, or because they think they're like men like them. And they're not. They're men like them. They just think differently. They don't mind giving a 1-2 punch to end the fighting. Better to give you a 1-2 punch and end the fighting than to let this keep going on, which is what the Christ meant by better cut your hand off than let your whole fucking body die from an infection. Come on, man. Get for real. Okay? So the United States for decades has been living in a trade deficit, which means other countries were charging us tariffs when we would send our goods to them. Okay? And we weren't charging them anything. So this is a deficit. We're paying out, nobody's paying us. And that's been going on for decades. Okay? It causes a trade imbalance. Is a trade deficit. The only revenue that the government has is the people's taxes and the things that they've taxed them and regulated them on. So when they can't raise taxes, they make new regulations so they can get more money. Why? Okay, because they don't want to ask you for it. They're not going to ask to raise taxes. Okay. and they know it. So that begs the question, how'd you even get the right to charge for because you lied? It's going to only be for the rich. Yeah, and it became for everybody. Because you can't do it to one and not do it to all. You have to do it to all. So then you get into these scales and and it's best to just end it. It doesn't work. It was designed to help war to continue because at the turn of the century, of the 20th century, everybody and their dog knew after the American Civil War that war was just too damn expensive to wage anymore. The Christ brought the end, and this is how it goes. Okay? It's been working itself out all this time. What he spoke is truth. It's coming true. It's been true. We were diligent. Then we started taking it for granted. And now we've been shown why we need to remain diligent. We won't forget these things that we're going through as a society. Everybody and their dog knows America is a bunch of mutts. I don't need to tell you, you can't tell me who you authentically are either. For the simple reason not one of us is authentic, because not one of us is original like they think. Every one of us is an original thought or belief in the mind of God. Okay? That love is shaped in telling this wonderful story. It's her fucking story, though. Okay? It's divine love story. You don't fuck with the author. Okay? Now, you get to pick out some details. That's about it. Prophecy will be fulfilled. Okay? And the meek have inherited the earth. And so they gather because they, seek power. And anyone who seeks power is seeking love. Okay? They have a lack of in their life, and it must be filled. And for them, it must be filled with major attention. They have a big hole that needs to be filled. First off, understanding the type of people who are in public service, and they're usually two kinds. The ones who are seeking power, therefore want to hang on forever and try to change the rules all the time so they don't have to leave. Or it's the guy who's, I'm here to represent, you tell me. And maybe he'll be there 2 or 3 times and then leave. It's draining. So you'd have to leave after a while. But you're not supposed to get a lot of money because it's a duty. It's not a career. It's never been a career in America. They tried to make it a career. And you can listen to the ones who've been there a long time and listen to them. Well, we haven't had a raise at 15 years. Well, go to the private sector. Nobody's stopping you. But we, the people, don't owe you a dime. You chose to serve. You chose to represent. You just sit back and listen to them. Who's saying we got to go fight with Ukraine? We got to go fight with Israel. We got to go fight with Gaza. Who's saying we got to fight? The veil's been torn. They're starting to see. Okay, it's like they've been asleep because they've been taking things for granted. Okay, and things were so good and they weren't paying attention to what was going on. They woke up, and they woke up in time. They did. Okay. Was it pretty horrible? Yes, which is why they felt the need to spell it out so future generations will know. This is how horrible God. People actually thought these things that we had to write this law. That's why you clean out the books, because you can look at the old laws and see how far we've come. Hindsight's 2020. So you're looking back and looking at it. So trade deficits are not good. They can't run forever. So at first, when you start to turn this kind of ship around, you're going to have a very big debt at first, because you have to create some more to take on this monster. That ship is turning, and you can pay for what government needs to run through taxes and or tariffs. It could be a combination of the two, say value-added taxes and tariffs. The whole thing about the tariffs with the Trump administration in America is they're setting the stage up to end all tariffs, free trade, actual free trade between all nations. Instead of charging us a tariff and we charging you a tariff, how about we just don't tariff? Is the end game. That's the end. Okay, no more tariffs. So if there's no more tariffs, business starts booming, and it can just be paid through the value-added tax. Okay, there's other ways of funding government other than taxing the individuals that live in it, on their income. You can now remove the IRS and turn it into the ERS that would handle external revenue service, that would handle, tariffs and that kind of money, the sales taxes and that kind of thing, and then distributing that out, who then gives it out to the different departments. So it's understanding there's nothing wrong with cleaning up and, looking back and seeing what's still on the books, clean it off, clean up. That's a good thing. Okay. There's nothing wrong in that. And anyone who tries to stop those kind of things, you have to ask why, And if every reason is just a silly reason, then you just don't listen to them. The idea that you've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years, that makes it scary in and of itself to change, but it does work. It's been proven in the past. You can go look. We ran the country for many, many years that way, and there's no reason why we don't go back to fundamentals, what was working, what did work. Okay, let's get our house in order. And now we can grow again, better for the experience. This is the kind of thing that, men do. You don't hang around when it's time to give up the ghost. You just give it up and you go do your thing. Everyone is free. So if you want to look at that as being entitled or that you deserve, this is just not the right way of looking at it. I'm free to choose what I want to be, if I want to be anything. Choosing not to be anything is a choice. Okay? You don't have to be anything. Just be you. Okay? No other gods. And this is what's happening. And El Salvador started it. Their democracy turned around in 2 years. A place that had been horrific for decades, and now it's moving across the world, this tsunami of love that the people have. That's a tough job, and we all know it. Most of us don't want to do it. Being a politician is like being a janitor. It's a tough job. Every job's a tough job, really. Okay? You love them. Somebody's got to do it. All right? But we don't have to pay for the world. We're not going to. The world can stand on its own 2 feet, and it can stop acting like little children and start being neighborly and thinking well of your neighbor and stop hating on each other. Jesus Christ, how many history books do you need to read about this shit? Enough already. I don't think so. Nobody likes it. Nobody thinks that way. And we're not going to do this anymore. Got it? Good. And if it takes somebody bigger than you to slap you upside the head to make that happen, good. Because no one wants to see their generation or the generation coming die off for useless bullshit that leaders make up. You want to go be afraid of it? Go ahead. You shouldn't be in public office. If you're a fraidy cat, you don't need to be in public office. The fact is, you're not afraid. You're not of that. You're afraid of not being seen, not being heard. And that's a manifestation of you don't take the time to see or hear God. But enough people have, and things are changing, and they're moving. And Donald Trump learned a lot, and he had to lose to Joe Biden. So he would have those 4 years to plan, to prepare, to do what God wanted him to do. This is going to happen, whether you like it or not. Doesn't matter. The democracies of the world, the people are rising up, and they're saying no more. It really started getting going with 9/11, and then the financial crisis, and then COVID. Do you see the 4 horsemen here yet? And now they're attacking the churches and ideologies. It's the final horse. I'm not going to give you my attention. That's my love. Only God gets that. Only God. Okay, only God gets my attention. This is all God. I see God everywhere. God in all men. I see it. I hear it. Can't stop it. You know, it is what it is. Go rest your feet. Put your feet up. All right. And rest. This place is God's footstool. All right. You let the men run it for you. But when they're not doing their job, and you're the boss, so the boss must be the one to determine whether they're performing their duty or not. Okay? If they're not performing according to the job description, and the first part of the job description is representative. They represent. If they're not representing, then they're not doing their job. And that means they get fired. You don't vote for them again. If they are listening and they are voting according to the constituents, then they are doing the job and you can vote for them again. People will do the job differently. I don't really care how you do the job. Did the job get done on time satisfactorily? Or did it drag out and never get done? And here you are back again saying, I can't, I need more. No, I hope this helps. It's just time to trim and to put our foot down. You're not going to kill the Christ, okay? Too bad, so sad. Christ is in everyone and everything. You can't do it. And enough of us know that now, right? It's time for your pretty light to shine too, okay? Your real light, not the surface light, your inner light. This is what you think of. These poor people have to go day after day, and they're pressured on all sides, and it's like nobody's got their back. Nobody wants to be a politician. Everybody wants to yell at them. Everyone says they lie, when their lips are moving, that kind of thing. Who Who wants that kind of job? Think about it. It's not a good job. It's not a nice job. It's like Donald Trump said, it's a mean job. But you have to be tough, confident to be able to stand up to those guys and say, no, this is what my constituency say. You need to come back. I can't tell them that. I represent them. I don't represent you. So this is just a rebalancing, okay? It's going back to fundamentals, what worked, get everything back into harmony. You had too many in the public sector and not enough in the private sector. So the employment and everything is balancing. Everything is balancing, okay? And it's going to be fine. It's going to work out great. Trust in God. This is all God. There's only God. So just trust in God. And that means go sit down and relax and just breathe. Make that lover's sigh. Relax. And know it's okay. God's got it. It's okay. You represent God. You represent God here. They do too. They're not God any more than you are. You represent God. Okay? It's all of it together as God, and that's ineffable, and you will never, ever, ever be able to even comprehend that. So don't bother trying. Your messenger is in your heart, your soul. This is all spirit. Prayer is the lifeblood to God, and it can't be needy prayer. It has to be just calm. But if it does get emotional, if it does get loud, because you've saved that passion for the Christ, for your messenger, those messages get heard. Okay, don't worry. So I hope this helps. It's just a rebalancing of everything so that it's harmonized. Because it was, the boat was rocking. Too far to one side, too far to the other. No, it's just be at peace. So we are to think well of our representative and to love him, okay? And know he's doing the best he can. And that he is the best. Or she. And think good things about them so that we're not dishonoring them, being sinful, judging, don't judge. So I hope this helps. Blessings to you, and thank you. Thank you for being you. Love to know what you think. Drop it down there in the comments below. Thank you. You have a great one, and may God bless you and yours. Blessings.